What's your darkest secret? At 13 I was having a really bad period for a week that left me in a lot of pain and with heavy bleeding. My mom sat with me the whole week and made sure to keep checking up on me. Thing was though, I wasn't on my cycle, I was having a miscarriage. I had been pregnant for a good few weeks now, this being the result of a family member having their way with me. I still haven't told anyone, and I have no plans on telling even my closest friend or mom. It's kind of just something I plan on carrying with me to the grave. Edit. Thank you to everyone for their kind words of support. To the people recommending I see a professional, I have been seeing one, and bit by bit I've been opening up. Second, to those saying my mom most likely knew, I honestly doubt she did. I had hidden it pretty well, and my mom was never in the house when I was showing signs due to work. Not to mention, I have a condition that gives me severe pain during my time of the month, so it wouldn't have been silly to assume I was just having a really bad flare-up. Sometimes talking about it is like reliving it all over again. I have several things that I am carrying with me to the grave that I just don't plan on telling people about. I don't know your reason for not speaking up, but I hope you're doing well. Hugs. There's no reason for you to be ashamed or to have to hide it if you don't want to. So many people have very similar experiences, you can find support. You don't owe it to anyone to hide a painful fact to protect them. When I was in the 9th grade my mom decided she no longer likes women and will be moving on to men. She found this man, I'll call him Bill. At first Bill was alright, he would buy me and my brother, he's a year older than me, pizza when he came, but then that stopped. He would come to our house with expensive food for our mother and nothing for us. All of the food in the kitchen was his. We would have to ask our grandma for money to buy food every day. My mom would leave with him weeks at a time and leave us with no food or money. Me and my brother had no key to our house, so we would leave the back door unlocked to get in, but Bill had a key. He would just walk in the house and wouldn't even speak to me or my brother. Then one day the water got turned off and Bill kept peeing in the toilet, knowing we have to walk down the street to our grandma's house with 2 big kitty litter buckets to flush the toilet or even brush our teeth, bathe or do anything with water. My mom kept lying to my GMA saying it was sewer problem, she would get money to pay the water bill but never pay it. Then one day the lights got turned off and that was the final straw. Me and my brother packed up and moved with my grandma. That happened more than 10 years ago, but I still get sad remembering crying myself to sleep at night or having sleep for dinner. Now I have my own apartment, I have a wonderful fiancé and an amazing son. My brother is living with me now. I'm trying to get him on his feet considering he has medical conditions. It's been taking time, but we're getting there. Your grandma is the coolest person. Thank you. Now that my life is better I make sure she is spoiled rotten, because if it wasn't for her Lord knows where me and my brother would have been. Maladaptive daydreaming. It's a bitch, ain't it? Just going about your day when you're suddenly and involuntarily thrust into an entire world in your head. To the outside world I probably look catatonic. I think what sucks the most is how little research has been done about it. To my knowledge, nobody knows why we're like this, though in my case it's almost certainly trauma-related. But the lack of clear answers is aggravating. I learned that it's because of loneliness for most cases. It hit me hard this year when I had the video proof of me maladaptive daydreaming. I set my phone on something and recorded myself to send it to my friend explaining something, kind of a joke. Without realizing I started maladaptive daydreaming and I snapped out of it. I played THD video and I look like a lunatic. I really want to stop but I don't really know how to. When I was about 8, my dad got wrongly diagnosed with a couple different psychological disorders. His psychiatrist put him on loads of meds where I didn't even feel like he was there anymore. He was on cloud 9 24/7. So, that leads to this. My dad remarried to my stepmom, who had 3 children. 2 boys and 1 girl. I was 9 at the time, my brothers were 5 and 13 and my sister was about 7. My oldest stepbrother regularly molested and raped my younger brother and sister. This problem carried into a lot of other things: rape/molestation between my two youngest siblings, as well as acting up. My little brother used to run around the house throwing shit. Yes, literally his own shit. He would do it as bad behavior, but would mainly do it when my oldest brother was chasing him to molest him. I'd wake up in the middle of the night to him touching them, telling them to be quiet. To this day, I just remember the look on his face and in his eyes while in the moment. I will never forget it. He was eventually put in juvie. Also, my stepmom used to make me sleep outside on the ground. If I fell asleep inside, she would wake me up, drag me by whatever limb she could hold onto and put me outside. No blankets, no pillow. Nothing. 100 degrees or 25 degrees. Didn't matter. I was often locked out of the house when my dad was gone to work also. The minute he left, my stepmom would just make my life living hell. Physical and emotional abuse were typical. I bring up the medication my dad was on because he was a damn good dad and my best friend, and in the right mind, he would have never allowed that. He eventually went to a different doctor, got on different meds and left her. But, damn, that shit was hell. I still remember the day it finally broke. My dad and stepmom were screaming at the top of their lungs and my dad told her that he was gonna leave her and told me to get my stuff. I jumped on the kitchen counter, got right in her face and screamed No little boy should have to go through that shit. I feel sorry for the younger kids too. The stepmom sounds like a psycho. Glad you made it out and are doing better. Do you know what happened to the younger ones in the end? As a child I lived with my mom who had several problems. She was a prostitute, which I didn't realize at that time. She drank a lot and spent all her money on booze. Sometimes we didn't had enough to eat even for weeks. But I told no one about it because I felt so ashamed. After school I always were going home with friends to get something to eat. Also, people started to make fun of me in school because I had to wear the same clothes for weeks. My mom didn't do the laundry. At some point when I was 15 I figured out where my dad lived, bought a ticket and never looked back. Depression. As much as it shouldn't be a secret or something to be ashamed of, the truth is, as an adult man with a career, you have to hide that shit, because nobody is going to put up with it. Nobody will hire someone who just shuts down for months on end and can't get shit done. Nobody will hire someone who needs a mental health day every other week. And even if they did, the guilt of not pulling my weight would make my depression worse. So I became a workaholic. My entire life revolves around not fucking up my career at the cost of everything else because I don't have the energy to maintain a career, a relationship, and keep my life together. At work I'm perfectly organized, professional, friendly, and a team player. At home I have a small mountain of cardboard in my room I just haven't gotten around to getting rid of, order in basically every meal, haven't cleaned my bathroom in 6 months, am overdue for an oil change by a few 100 miles, and probably won't do my taxes until I absolutely can't put it off anymore, because I'd rather stare at the wall. When I was very little, probably around 3 to 4, I used to play a game with my parents where I'd go to the bathroom and brush my teeth before bed, and when I got to my room they'd pretend to be asleep and I'd find creative ways to wake them up. Being so young, I thought my dad was superhero style indestructible, and in thinking so I decided to try something that would hurt a kid like me but wouldn't harm him at all since he was big. I found a pencil laying on the desk and tried to stab him in the eye with it. Luckily, he was peeking, and stopped me just before I did it. To this day it gives me a sinking feeling in my stomach, thinking about what might have happened. TL, doctor, I almost stabbed my dad in the eye with a pencil while he was pretending to be asleep. I'm scared of the dark. Make sure you're on light mode. I've never successfully put a tampon in. Never masturbated. Genitals, even my own, seriously gross me out. I don't know why. Edit. Thank you all for sharing your suggestions and experiences. It means a lot since I can't really talk about it to anyone in real life. I had similar issues and the tampon thing came from vaginismus for me. I went to a sexuality therapist slash gyno and eventually physical therapist who really helped me with that. I imagine regular therapy would help as well. From there, my genitals became much less a source of shame and discomfort and more something that I felt I understood and had control of. For masturbating, and I'm not totally sure if this is a healthy coping mechanism, I typically would just do it through my underwear and just clitoral stimulation. It was a way to get sexual satisfaction without really having to interact with my genitals while I was uncomfortable with them. Now that things are a lot better, that's still my go-to method. BC I prefer clit stimulation to penetration, and I'm too lazy to get up and wash my hands after, lol. Do you have any darkest secrets you could share? Leave a comment. And subscribe to this channel if you wanna see more same videos.